Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Worlds of ZZT livestream, where today we are going to be playing Zaws, a card game
Yeah.
for Weave, with special guest and author Will. Say hi, Will.
Hello. Yes, this is mine. This is my 70th ZZT title.
That's more than I thought anybody could make, honestly.
Oh, it's it's taken a few years.
It's a big number. It's a very big number. And this one seems quite ambitious for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, it's a long time coming for a number of reasons. I mean, it comes from a number of different influences. I think one of them is definitely there was an old Ben Kuchera article for Gama Sutra, which was called Random Without Replacement, where it talks about how RNG can feel very unfair, and one of the best ways to telegraph to the player that randomness is going to have some kind of evening out is to use randomness without replacement. So card games are a good way to do that, and it's a good way to signify that to the player.
Right. I am gonna start here and see what this is all about. I played a bit of the demo, and then when the full game got released, I waited patiently for Itch Creators Day and bought that. And then I made the horrible mistake of playing the intro on a laptop, and so the save is over there, and I rarely use that, and I'm just like, oh, I should really copy that. And now I won't have to, thank goodness.
Yep. I cannot see the stream.
Oh, well, that seems... Oh, yes. Are you seeing anything? It probably helps if I say click the share your screen button.
Yeah, I'm not. It's completely black in here.
Let's see here. This guy. So, that will get
Oh,
you the, yeah,
I see the light.
that will get you
Excellent.
the window. And if you just go to the chat specific link, which I am pasting to you now, then you can see what all the people are saying if you don't
Oh,
have it on
perf.
and muted, or however you want to do it, whatever
Yeah.
works for you.
Yeah, let me get this up. I have a little tablet here. Let me bring it up on that so I can read chat while it's happening.
And if anything collapses with the screen share or anything, you tell me, because I've got that minimized. I am not going to notice. You may have to hit me up on Twitch.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to type hi chat. Hi chat. Here they are. Awesome.
All right, that's a reasonable delay.
Cool.
All right, let's hit play and let's see what we're in for tonight.
Sounds
Actually,
good.
anything to say about this title screen, because it's very bold.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I keep a dream journal, which I'm sure people who've been in the Worlds of ZZT Discord have seen that I occasionally cross post to ETC. This was a dream that I had, was that there would be a game with this title and this title screen. And the Z being backwards, the stylized backwards Z was part of that. It was a very different game than the one that I ended up making, but it was one of those sort of influences. It was a game that would discover it would discover your fears, and then it would manifest them in a sort of City of Heroes kind of styled MMO.
Oh,
Um,
thank you for
so
not making that one. I don't want to play that actually.
yeah, it was really terrifying because then of course it would also learn things about you that you didn't tell it, and that became very distressing. And so yes, I didn't make that game.
Goodness. All right, let's go for broke here.
So yeah, this little red feller, um, because I shared this out to a lot of non-ZZTers and also folks that hadn't played ZZT in many years. I tried to bring people in as much as possible to the paradigm of ZZT and sort of the conventions that we take for granted. So you'll see a lot of that here in this intro.
Oh yeah, every time I see like doing this, every time I see somebody new playing ZZT, there's always like a million things. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they don't consider that, huh?
Yep.
There.
So I watched a lot of people play this. I got a lot of video feedback, which was great, and it showed me that this was really necessary to get people started on the right foot.
This is our usual info, how to select our hyperlinks.
Yep. I added the convention pretty late in the game of having an asterisk next to default options. But I like it,
That's a
and
good
it was
idea.
pretty easy to cover it. So yeah, you'll see lots of little things, blinking arrows, flashing passages. I don't leave anything to chance here for the beginning.
I don't know if it's, oh, I think you said it's actually like a Weave specific thing, the Shift H reveal.
Yeah, so Shift H, anything with a touch, if it's unlocked and it has an unzapped touch label, then it'll flash.
So, shout out. I'm gonna go through this very quick just because every time we do guest streams we tend to linger on boards and not make progress very quickly.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We can
But
jump right into it. People can see
here's the
this.
cool names. Here's the cool approximate names. I'm Dr. Dad.
I'd forgotten about that.
Alright. If you want to jump
Yeah,
on in, I will. Well, actually, what one's. Ah, that's a license. Okay. Also, one thing I forgot is the desktop Zeta does not have volume control. So
I
I
don't
did,
think it does. Yeah,
in
it's
turning you up, I also have had to turn ZZT up. So apologies if
oh
that's a little louder than
mea
usual, but
mea culpa. I can try and talk a bit louder. I can get really really close to the mic.
there you go.
Oh boy,
And we get to start by picking our avatars, of which there are oh so many of these.
384.
That's that's like 3 Pokemon games worth.
Yes.
That's how I interpret numbers. These were all done by the Green Herring, I believe.
With the exception of four of them, they were all done. Four of them I started off with four, and then he made the other 380. What they did.
There are many species here. Like it's incredible how well portrayed some of these are. I spent way too much time when I was playing this just flipping through these.
Yep.
And then I found one I liked, and I'm like, well, I have to keep scrolling, and then I don't think I ever found it again.
Yeah, I think uh there's a searchable one on Herring's
Oh
website.
yeah, he's posted like the full thing. Do up and down actually? Does that jump
They
farther
do.
or is it okay?
It jumps ahead and behind 16.
Yeah, see that was my thing. I didn't quite click that. I thought like, oh, maybe they're in groups of some sort the first time, which is why I never found anything again, I think.
Yeah, they sort of are.
Oh yeah, they're definitely organized here. Tag yourself, everybody. I don't know how you'll do it because I'm scrolling through these reasonably quickly, but match that print screen button and say that's
Hey,
me.
if you find the feller, the sort of bald monk, uh in that same group there's a goose.
Dragons, we got ferrets, we got skunks, we got squirrels. We got the mushroom people.
Yep.
I thought that was fun.
Fung the folk.
Got this Carmen San Diego mushroom lady.
Yeah, the shark. I thought all the shark ones were really good. I think the shark lady in the long dress is good. I think her in the two piece is also good later on.
Sorry, folks, this is the stream.
Got our wrestler feller.
Oh,
Also
I don't think I
bears and
saw the
elephants.
elephant before. Good lord.
He's good.
My god, they keep getting bigger too.
Yep, and then we're gonna go back to one of my four is here. Here he is. There he is in the blue.
That
That's
one's
how it
you.
all started. That was the first one.
That's
And I
the
thought,
guy.
man, this is great. They're never gonna be able to top this.
Alright, I'm gonna pick the next thing that wows me.
Might be a little bit because these are all the ones that were inspired by my efforts. So
Ah,
they're gonna be pretty underwhelming. That they were the
actually I
best
do
I could
like
do.
actually I was gonna say that I like the swamp creature, plant creature. This one's
Yeah,
pretty good too. I'm gonna go with
yeah,
this.
those are both good. Awesome. Ooh, purple background's a nice background color too for your smiley.
Oh, there we go. Alright, so we got a bed. We got a trunk. All you need.
Yep.
I love the
Here we are.
ocean effects here.
Yeah, so this is one of these things that I really wanted to use vanilla Weave because I wanted to show the kinds of things that you could do with just fiddling around with the element table. So the CFG file in Weave allows you to manipulate the element table, which is sort of initialized at the beginning of the game. And all of this effect is really just done by the scroll. So this sort of very light gradient is actually a scroll, and I've just changed the character and using a really simple cycling routine. It gives it a lot of character, gives it a lot of motion and makes it very interesting. Um, and so yeah, I think that that's one of these things that I'm hoping gets highlighted by the fact that it's fully open and available and everyone can look at what goes into it and can download the copy of Weave that created all this or is runs all of this.
Yeah, I love that this is all still very open and still just works with all of ZZT's editors.
Yeah, and it's still mostly code page 437. So feel free to eat some Dragonvine.
Well, I shouldn't have.
Dragonvine is an acquired taste. I think of it as a sort of Szechuan peppercorn.
Uh-oh.
Oh, poor Desilmymph.
Oh, this is great. You can be the one who pronounces all of these, and you'll be correct.
That's true. True. All right. Victon. Victon is sort of overeager. Ben drowned.
Oh, okay.
I know, right?
Oh.
Target didn't follow regular PPE procedure.
So is the game speed cranked up by default? I'm just now like realizing
Yeah,
I'm kind of
so
like whipping around, which is good. That's yes.
yeah, so it's I guess it's speed 2. Is that how they do it? It's like the low numbers are faster.
I always
how
forget. I
ZZT
just
does
know
it.
that if you press an actual number key when you're picking ZZT speed, it will jump to that number. So that's like
Right.
canonical.
So it's the second fastest, which is exactly twice as fast as the normal speed. So it updates 18.2 times a second. And that means that, yeah, when you hold a button down, you run pretty fast, which is nice. Father Moon shines out here gardening, even though he's supposed to be in bed. There's a lot of restful old people in the village, you'll notice.
Yeah.
Everybody's either sleeping or they should be sleeping.
This apparently includes us.
They're all tired. But we're not supposed to be sleeping. We're apparently supposed to be up and doing stuff.
I do like also our little shading transitions here.
Yeah, so you'll notice that this comes from. I use it exactly once in the King and Yellow borders for Hallbrook's armory. This sort of technique, the indoor-outdoor technique, and then I liked it so much that I wanted to use it hundreds more times. So that's what this is.
Can't blame you.
Father Coracle, my resident historian and teacher.
Another person that needs some sleep.
Yeah, dude, it's very tired folks out here.
Can't sleep. Because of the sieges.
Yeah. We'll see those out to the west.
Get a history lesson? Nope, not today.
No, not today. I had a whole history lesson in here. I had pages and pages of it, and I realized that people probably would rather get to the game itself, and it would be doing myself a disservice if in the first 5 minutes you weren't doing at least one example of the gameplay loop. So I tried to drive people toward the tutorial and sort of take a lot of this early content out. So there's a lot of cut content here on this board and in the village in general.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Cugbib. Probably lives in some kind of hall, maybe in the sky.
Something like that.
Yeah, so when you compress Quick Flint, it releases alpha energy, and when you stretch it, it releases beta energy. You'll see alpha and beta on your sidebar.
Yeah, this game has a very overwhelming sidebar at first.
Yep, there's lots going on. Things you can press, but not till later. Most of the stuff is disabled for now.
Yeah.
Sigma energy is present in the game, but you have to go to the furthest point from where we are without leveling up. So you sort of have to dodge a bunch of enemies to get there. But yeah, the Sigma energy pod is way on the other side of the map. So Father Fennec is a wizard, and if you disturb him again, he'll cast a spell on you.
Oh, see, I'm too polite. Fantastic.
And he'll cast a spell on you to progress you.
Oh, there's the speedrun strat, maybe.
Yes, that is the speed strat. Several of the wizards in town will happily sort of teleport you around to where they think you need to go.
We got a nice little flashing objective.
Yep. Here we are in the nursery. And, Matron's the one sticking around taking care of the kids. Everyone else her age is known as the maids and brothers. So everybody who's not either a child or one of the elderly hunts 9 months out of the year, from autumn through to spring. And then they come back to town during the summer. So they're sort of waiting for the maids and brothers to come back, and now they're under siege. And so she's going to take everybody up to the hills. But she's your actual mom, not just the matron of the village.
Ah, I wasn't sure when I was playing this.
But she also raises all the other kids as though they were her mom. So here's Luke, which is easily the broadest pronunciation base I think of it. You know, I've seen several people play this on video now as part of the testing process. We've got Luck, Luik. A lot of people just start with the L and then they get scared.
I think I was going with Luck. That would have been my guess.
Luck is good. I thought it was more Luke, but I don't know. I don't speak their language. I just did my best
I see this flashing,
impression.
but I gotta check out this mill.
Yep, the flour grinder. So you see these two little spots on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
If you touch them both twice, so touch this one twice and then touch that one twice, and then step away and wait for a second.
Ah,
This is an Easter egg that most people will not have seen before.
probably not. No. Ooh.
So if you've been through the game once already, then none of this will be a surprise to you. But this is the sort of first indication that things in the village, as described in sort of this intro and in the intermissions between the chapters, is not what it seems, or not as it's initially portrayed. But it's weird that you have a key,
Yeah.
and it's weird that this is the stuff
Oh.
that's in here. Weapons, bottled water, rations, military rations,
This appears to
and
be a man.
a friend. Hello,
Hello.
Dr. Ogden Melas, or Dr. O. Melas.
My God. So yeah, I hadn't played this enough to begin really getting into the story here. So this is quite surprising to see.
Yeah, so Dr. Melas knows what happened to Dr. Montiato. Dr. Montiato is, of course, bricked up in the sort of space right next to this. So, yeah, this is sort of what happens when you decide not to do what Crone Violet tells you to do.
Seems rough.
Well, she's a strict disciplinarian. She does not want people. She doesn't want people misbehaving and putting others in danger.
Oh, oh no. I was wondering what the deal was with these characters.
You got your shoes all dirty.
What's the effect here, actually? At first I thought when I touched the first one, I was like, ah, maybe this is Forest, because I got one message.
No, this is just white text. It's just one of the things that you can do in Weave is you can place tiles underneath the player. So I just put a random color white text underneath the player if the player's touching white text.
Oh. Oh, I can, like, spoil things with this character set. That looks like some sort of important orb.
That's a white key.
Alright, here's our training bracer. We can get in and see what the whole deck building part of this game is all about.
Yep.
Fight the training dummy.
People who've played before will notice that there is a small change in the initial deck here. One of these cards is different now. So if you press V right now, you can view the deck, which will show you the cards that you have yet to draw. So these are the cards that you will be drawing before you shuffle.
Okay. There is a considerable manual here, which is very nicely arranged, honestly. Like, if I pick this one, like, okay, what's scrap? Well, we got a glossary, and I'm sure if I scroll enough, aha, scrap. When played, a card with scrap remains out of play until the battle is over.
Yep, and you can press C on any card as well for card info. So, and then any terms like scrap will be defined at the bottom of all these card descriptions.
Oh, well, there we go.
So I've tried to be explicit. I've also tried to hide the manual and not make it front and center because I don't want to overwhelm people to
Yeah,
start.
like
So
actually, you were actually to like hit this key and be like, okay, time to read all of this. It might take a minute.
yeah, yeah, I wanted to try and avoid that if possible.
It's much better to learn by doing. Beat up a dummy.
Yep. Little Gato.
So at this point, though, the alpha and beta are still kind of mysteries here.
Yep. Well, if you use card info on Cloud, that'll show you. So this is Aegis, and then if you look at Cloud. So Cloud is charged up when you get beta.
So let us get some beta.
Yep. All right, so Dummy's preparing to defend, but isn't doing any attacks, so you can just go all out. So you can see here, at least in this initial deck, you sort of have to trade off between your alpha and your beta. You can't really get more than 3 total until you start getting cards that will permanently increase your levels without taking away the other level. Yeah, oh, and so this other thing, I'm using 5 different colors of text to create the cards. So yellow text, green text, red text, cyan text, and purple text are all their respective colors on a dark gray background, with the exception of yellow text, which is white on a dark gray background. So rather than having to build these out of objects, I can just build them out of text, and rather than have an sort of a database of cards and card effects, what happens is that there's actually an object on the top left of each of these cards which will read the contents of the card as you play it and then perform those actions in order. So this ATK space 2, it'll detect using if detect that it's actually an attack using ATK, and then it'll read the number by reading the color of the text, and it will do that much damage. So all of this is it's done dynamically, which means that I can have cards with a property called morph. Morph will randomize its effect every time it's drawn, and I don't have to create separate logic for all of that. Also, when I went through and did this last balance patch, I just had to change the way the cards were rendered, and immediately all the logic for the cards was updated.
That's really convenient. Yeah, so if you just edited attack 2 with text to say attack 8 or something, it would be correct. It would do that.
Correct. Right? And if I told it to draw a card, or if I added scrap to it, all of those things would automatically work. I don't have to add any additional logic. So it took me about 4 minutes to put the balance patch out, because all I had to do was change the help files, since they all centralized to a single help file for each card, and then change the renderer.
That is a smart way to do it. How many cards are there, if I'm allowed to ask?
Yeah, there's 108. You'll see it later on. You're gonna unlock a collection, which will actually show you a gallery of all the cards that you've encountered. So there's 4 pages of 28.
A good number.
Oh, so that's 112. Yeah, so there's 112. All right.
Victory.
Smacked him down. If you hit J, you can see that the journal shows you what you've done.
Oh, this is a lot more detailed than I'd expect.
Yep. I lost track of how many journal entries there are. But there's somewhere to the tune of about 90 different journal entries. As you go between your chapters, it'll start hiding previous chapters' entries and just show you your active quests, which are in the gray.
That's convenient.
So your active quest shows you the quest itself and the approximate location. So Father Chiseltip in the West Tower is where your next objective is. And when you go to the very end of the game, as you beat the game, it'll ask you if you want to view your journal, and it'll unlock all 4 chapters, and you can actually see
Oh, that's cool.
everything that you did. It'll give you a complete sort of mark of your journey.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something different and not be stupid. I will not eat this.
Yeah, I'm told it's like chewing on raw ginger, mature square fruit, which is pretty intense.
Oh, I worked a grocery store job long enough to. We sold plenty of raw ginger. That does not sound appetizing. No, don't
No,
do that.
younger square fruit tastes like candied ginger, which is a lot more palatable. But the kids have eaten all of the sort of not nasty square fruit off the bushes, so we're out of luck. Here's the siege. You can see we got these purple skeletons that are getting whacked one at a time by Father Broadback, who is our local Superman, but he's 80. So he's also tired, unsurprisingly.
Sure enough.
So here we're going to get a chance to play around with some late stage cards, or at least more advanced cards than the ones that we're going to start the game with. Father Broadback throws us one of his bracers, and now we get to see some of these other cards. So Flow is a really great property. It means that you can play a free card. Unfortunately, you've only drawn cards that you
Oh, yeah.
can't, so you won't be able to take advantage of it, but you'll at least be able to do 4 damage. So the thing about Maraudists, and you'll see this later on as you unlock the gallery, which will, the gallery is a listing of all the enemies you've encountered. But Maraudists are like Marauders, but they can summon copies of themselves. So you want to try and kill these guys in
One
like
fell
all at the
swoop.
same time,
Yeah.
because otherwise they're going to immediately summon another one of them in its place. So
Auto. Automatically played. Or played twice. Okay.
yeah, so
There we go.
it basically plays itself when it's discarded. So if you play it, then it'll play its effect, and then its effect will trigger again as it goes into the discard pile. And that's it. You press down twice to end your turn.
I like that little warning.
So yeah, you got nothing to worry about. This your health is going to be restored to 10 regardless at the end of this. If you die during this fight, again, it's not going to penalize you. This game has no fail state. There's no point at which it game overs until you win. So um, you can experiment in sort of a lot of different ways, and the game will not ever force you to reload your save.
These seem. Oop, wrong one. Oh, okay. I was about to say those two seem kind of contradictory terms. But no, okay, I see how that works.
Yep.
There's our cool Z.
Uh, yeah, the backwards Z. Sometimes it seems like it's a Z, and sometimes it seems like it's an S, depending on context. And the player character never says it, even if if a character is named with that backwards character, then the player character will either choose a Z or an S. I don't know exactly why I did that, but it seemed right to me somehow. Fade is easily the most powerful. Fade and flow are the 2 most powerful keywords in the whole set.
There's our morph we were hearing about. I keep hitting V instead of C. My keyboard. I need to learn the keys.
Oh, that's the best possible configuration of Punk. All right. Excellent.
So it looks like this is just ultimately like a pretty simple game, at least in terms of what all these numbers are. It just seems attack
Yeah.
minus defense and easy enough to pick up, and especially I'm sure once you learn all these terms.
Yeah, there are not too many keywords. There's draw, auto, scrap, flow, fade, wound, poison. It yeah, that's about it. Oof, that's a bad
That's a bad
draw for
punk,
punk.
actually. I'll skip that one.
Yeah, so if you play this tech, then it'll play twice, which will give you 5 defense, which means you won't take any damage from the Maraudists. And that guy needs to be taken out, clearly. Either that or dazed. Yeah, I think you can probably start killing them off now.
Yeah.
Yeah, weakness is temporary. It decreases by 1 stack per turn. But yeah, all it does is it reduces your attacks by the amount. So you see weak, weak plus, weak double plus, or weak triple plus will reduce the attack values of your cards by 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So what was the process like for coming up with this whole thing, like this whole card game?
I mean, it's a long process. So 25 years ago, back in 1997, Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering, and Sid Meier, the creator of the Civilization series, worked together, and both of them personally coded on a game which is now known as Chandelar, but which at the time they just called Magic the Gathering, where you would have a totally open world RPG that you would wander around, and then depending on your deck building skill, you would be able to penetrate deeper into dungeons with higher rewards or further out into the reaches of this, totally open world where you could collect your own quests, you could choose any direction you wanted to go, and it would put no restrictions on the way that the game was going to go. And that's great, except that playing Magic the Gathering for every single battle is extremely slow and sucks.
Yeah, that seems a bit on the tedious side. I was never a Magic player, but
So I just wanted to make a game that I've been waiting for 25 years for somebody to make a game where the card battles weren't such a drag, but had the same spirit. Fully open, go anywhere, something that was story rich and sort of had a reason for these things existing and not just a collection of random towns with random
yeah.
fetch quests, where it was sort of an interesting world to be in with interesting characters. But then also the battles were maybe 60 seconds, between 40 seconds and 2 minutes of card game, so that it paced a lot faster. And so that's where I started 25 years ago. There's a game called Rhubarb Pie Strikes Back, which was one of my 24 HOZ games that I made with Lynx and also with a fellow who has decided not to be named because he doesn't want anything to do with the ZZT community. But the three of us created that under the Tony Clifton handle. And that has the first version of this that I came up with, which was a color-based card battle system. And you can see that I wanted everything to be very fast. I wanted there to be very low numbers, coin flips being basically the only randomness involved. I didn't have the skill to pull it off back then, and ZZT doesn't really have the breadth, I
Yeah.
think, of capacity to do the idea justice. But then I started, so back then I started filling up this, I've got it here, I have just this notebook with all of these ideas, possible, could it do something where it was like a paper, rock, scissors, but it's steel, wire, plastic. I've got maybe something where you would get victory points, and 10 victory points would end the battle instead of having to take enemy health to 0. I tried a whole bunch of different permutations, but I tried them all on paper, and it wasn't until I finished Weave 2 and it was feature complete that I really felt like I could hunker down and do something reasonable to execute on it after all this time.
And for reference, when it roughly was Weave 2?
Beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And by June-ish, it was feature complete, and I stopped adding stuff, between April and June. And 6 months after that, so between June and November, was when I made this. Father Chiseltip, your actual father. So your dad's a radio operator. He's got this radio dish. He communicates with all the other villages, but something terrible has happened and none of the other villages are responding. And all of a sudden this started happening, and you can go ahead and put on the headphones and hear what this is. So here's the titular Zaws. It is a sort of distorted, some kind of radio signal that's coming in very broadband.
Spooky.
Yeah, so instead of hearing from all of your other pals, the internet is just producing the word Zaws. And that makes everyone scared. Also, the robot skeletons doesn't help.
Probably not, no.
So if you want that green, you're gonna have to go up Mama Boyga's bumhole, which is there at the bottom, at her tail.
I see. Well,
So if you crawl up there, there's a little passage there. And then you can crawl up into the tower itself.
actually, oh, you actually can't get down here. I would not have thought to be able to.
Yep. Just another one of these little Easter eggs.
Oh, I like the little interior stairs here too.
Mm-hmm. Do hope Father Broadback got his coffee this morning. You grow coffee here in this village, which indicates that it's kind of tropical. If you look at the whole map, and this was not intentional, but it is how it ended up, it looks like North America, which means that you begin the game in Florida.
Oh no.
So Quayside is essentially Florida.
Yeah, I saw the...
Which is...
Oh, go ahead.
Hence all the retirees.
Yeah, that tracks. I saw there's various maps that are downloadable on the itch page, and I didn't want to look at those in depth before this, just in case.
Well, it's not too much of a spoiler to see the maps. It's a situation where you're gonna have the open world to yourself. You're gonna be able to travel, and having the map handy is actually kind of useful.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just kind of like to keep the surprise, where I'm gonna wander onto a board and be like, "Whoa, I wasn't expecting something to look like that."
That's true. Well, you'll get a couple of those certainly. If you haven't looked at the whole map, you'll get a couple opportunities to see that here in chapter 1. So Father Kite's up here waiting at the upper pass. Things are quiet. You will be able to get to the other side of the mountain and actually find out why they've been quiet, which is interesting.
Next quest.
So, Yeah, so you can go talk to Crone Lisa. That's possible. You can go back and talk to Crone Violet, like your dad asked you to. You can do both. You cannot do neither. You have to do the Crone Violet one, or you can't go forward in the game. So she's gonna the giver you here.
She's got abilities.
So what do we know about her? We know she is in charge. We know that she's not to be crossed. We know that she can steal your memories by touching your head. That's scary. But she's also kind of a badass, and I like her.
What's our next move?
Who else but you, child? Should I send your little brother? No. Quarry tunnels. This is typical. The tunnels are flooded. Kids always got an excuse.
There's a hole in the bucket. I did laugh at this when I was playing the first time.
Good. Yeah, she's good people. I mean, she's not good people, but she's definitely a fun character.
I mean, yeah, I mean it is humorous, but also like it does a very good job of saying like, listen, you got to do this. This is kind of an important thing.
You can
It
hesitate
helps
here,
set
which
the
is also
stakes.
fun.
Well, all right, I'll hesitate.
Yeah, she's, excuse me,
No.
am I losing you?
Through the tunnels.
Through the tunnels to Stone Hollow Grove.
Oh, but hang on, my chest is flashing.
Your bracer, you're already familiar with your cards because they are the same ones that you were just training with at the training dummy. And then it's to the quarry tunnels with you.
There's our deck.
Yep, that's your starter. It is very pitiful. You are likely to get wiped within your first fight or two. But that's okay because the death and rebirth mechanic is an important one to become familiar with. And it, every time you die, there are various things that happen that are well, you'll see when we get there. She wants you to leave.
Alright, where was Lisa?
She's in one of these small huts at the top. I think she's in the middle one there, yeah. That's Father Fennec. And then Crone Lisa's there.
Cat's a mood. Oh, well. Okay, I tried.
Yeah, well, he's used to it.
I mean, honestly, even a board like this is like a moment of like, oh wow. Like, I'm still, and I mean, for anybody who's just been playing ZZT games historically, like, just a board with this much going on is still quite a bit.
It's true. Yeah, and this is all very heavily edited as well. It used to be that you could crawl all over this board. You could see all the different types of crops. I've kind of cut a lot of that out because I wanted to try and direct people toward the action.
Yeah.
Again, just as I had people playing and realizing that they were going 30 minutes before their first fight, I was like, okay, we gotta do some editing here. So there is that little golden plant at the top. There's a gold plant, which is the last one of the year.
Sure enough.
So That'll be important later, but only if you play through the game multiple times. So anybody who hasn't played through the game multiple times that doesn't know about the gold plant there, at the end of chapter 3, the gold plant becomes very important.
What's your estimate for like playtime of this? How long is it taking testers to get through or something? I know it's gonna definitely like vary depending on like all sorts of stuff, but
I'd say 4.5 hours
okay.
is that's if you're just kind of playing through casually, then yeah, I should expect it to take between 4 and 6 hours. If you're 100%ing it, like if you want to get all 112 cards in the gallery and you want to, or fill up the collection in the gallery, then it would take maybe 8-9 hours. But yeah, we should, if you're going to be playing through it, probably we'll take a three-ish of these streams.
Hmm.
Yeah, so The Rock says, "We promise never to do the whole money thing ever again." And then you touch your bracer to it, it opens up a hole in the cave, this little cave. And what is there? A big stack of money. So I think the blue trinket here, or the cyan trinket's the weakest. That's the weakest option. Rest is okay because you have cards which use both alpha and beta. But probably the red trinket is your strongest guy of the three.
Okay, so when I was playing before, I did not get the green trinket, so I did not know you can get several of these. What are
Yeah,
the... Is that actually... Where's our explanation on that? Is it just in the manual here? I mean, there's reference, obviously, but... Okay, so we get new unique abilities.
yep. Every trinket has a passive ability. All the trinkets except the yellow one have an active ability, which will destroy the trinket for a huge bonus. So green trinkets are great because they let you keep your deck small, which is why you're going to want to collect any of them that you happen to see. I usually try and keep 3 or 4 in my inventory at any given time, just because it's nice to be able to enter a fight knowing that if your deck works really well and you get some crap cards, you don't have to add one to your deck. You can just when you get to late game, then you can arbitrarily keep cards out of your deck, but in the early game, you have to burn trinkets to do it.
It's only now that I see the multiple trinkets that my brain is processing that they are keys.
Yes, those are the keys. Basically, I already had the code pathway to use unique characters per key because of the accessibility, where having multiple characters per key, because color is not a great differentiator for keys and doors.
Yeah, that's like I'm constantly stressing that every time I like try and tell people anything about making ZZT games. Like, hey, please don't use the default doors. Please, please, we're begging you.
Yep.
There's
And so since I already had the code pathway to do that, I just made it so you can configure what characters they use.
we're
Oh
playing
yeah,
Zaws.
title drop. You'll have seen all this stuff because this is just the stuff from the shout out. It's just more compressed. Thank you to all the testers. I don't even think this is all the testers. I think this is just the first 15 testers.
A lot of testers.
Yeah, well, it was a complicated game, and I didn't want it to get released and be janky.
Yeah, actually, I don't. I mean, you've been patching this, but have there been? Have you had any like surprise bugs show up at this point?
Yeah, I have one. The battle board is 63.1 kilobytes.
That's a flirting with danger.
And there was something I was like, okay, I can add this for sure, and it won't go over 64, and it does on exactly one fight in the game. And so I had to. So patch 1 is essentially to avoid the game crashing on that one fight if you happen to leave the board while it's over 64K. All right,
Yeah.
so into the cave we get.
This
Oh yeah,
is
the save screen is fun.
yeah.
That's not usual.
I at the time I just thought, well, when I was first playing, I was like, oh no, I'm playing on my laptop and I can't save. I want to save. I constantly want to be saving in these, but I suspect that's how you're able to actually keep these saves from breaking essentially between your patches.
Yeah, everything is run on custom flags and custom counters. So when I update stuff, I can arbitrarily set a value which lets it know, oh, I have been patched. And then there's an object on all of these screens called version. And version will detect whether there's a new version, and then it will read the board ID and decide whether it needs to make updates.
It's very
So it
forward
will put,
thinking to actually plan for the patches like that.
yeah, defensive coding. So here's some carps. These were the first moving objects that I programmed in the game. They have no purpose. If you touch them, they'll just dive. They'll dive back in the water. They don't really care.
I got worried that I misheard dive there. I do not want
There's
to hurt
some
the
squirrels, but we'll get to them later. They're not important.
Squirrels are always important.
Those squirrels will get them, yeah. So you don't have anything to feed the carps, so you don't have anything to worry about there. But up in the top left is the quick flint mine. Quick flint mine will talk a little bit about safety. It's got a safety warning here. I'll tell you about what you need to do. So it says, don't, watch for danger and never work the quarry more than 5 days in a row. It's because, of course, quick flint's radioactive. And so they don't want you to expose yourself to the radioactivity for long periods. Or you'll get sick and then you'll end up like that fella in the graveyard.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Another chest. Oh, some green trinkets.
Now you got a couple of those. That's a nice thing to have at the start because early rewards from fights tend to be pretty junk. There are a few good ones, and then there's a lot that you're going to want to skip. Lampreys are jerks. You just want to run past them as fast as you can.
They don't play card games.
Nope. You can just leave them behind. And look, Crown Violet's already here. How did she get here? Oh, that's right. She's magic.
She just immediately questions how I managed to injure myself.
Well, you pleased her. You held your breath and you made it to her. That's good. Now she's going to do a little favor for you by making you immortal. I didn't want to deviate too much from CP437, but I did want to make Crone Violet short. So that's why she's a little short smiley. Because I thought for context that would be helpful and not too big a deviation from, the standard look, which is honestly very versatile.
My brain just immediately went to Brotherhood for Megazooks.
Yeah, I guess there is an influence there. Brotherhood is definitely something that I was thinking about.
Definitely got a tiny guy in that.
Yeah. So you can always start over in Stone Hollow Grove. no matter what. This is your respawn point. And how does it work? Chrome Violet knows. And actually, if you look through the mysteries, so the mysteries has a bunch of sort of technical scroll work. It includes a fourth dimensional hypertube system, which Chrome Violet designed, which allows you to conquer death. Or, we'll pluck you forth and send you backwards in time or move you fourth dimensionally. So she doesn't want to explain it to you, but then if you actually read the mysteries, then you'd understand. So she's got a whole bunch of little pocket universes for all the people in town that you'll be able to visit later on when you do actually lose all of your health.
All right. You got our goal here.
Yep, she's given you a little bit, and she's unlocked statistics for you.
The options screen. Yeah, I've never actually looked at the options screen.
There's not too many options. You can choose your game speed, the battle speed, and you can change your portrait at any time, but you can also press J here to view your stats. So that's a few things. This statistics list will expand as you do more things. So when you meet the dog, it'll give you your dog's opinion of you.
It's very good.
Is one of the things it lists. Yeah, well, you start out good. You don't move to very good until you buy the dog a doghouse and a pet bed. So you press space a couple times to go back to the game itself. Yeah. And here we are. So to the south are those squirrels that you saw from before. There's some enemies in the way, so you want to be sort of dexterous in getting past them.
So I'm guessing those are the enemies then. Maybe?
Yep. So right at the very beginning of developing this, this sort of enemy having a sort of a range where they come at you, and then if you run far enough away, they go back to their original spot. That's one of the first things that I developed sort of mechanically about the game. Oh, good. You can just knock him right out. Don't need to deal with him at all.
Yeah, I felt more confident doing that. I'm very curious what I'm going to do with this money that I keep turning down because I know what cards do.
Well, you received 6 coins from this fight regardless.
Okay.
So disc is the weakest card of the 3. Scan is probably the strongest because a cantrip is always good. But yeah. Tower is okay if you're going to sort of move that direction and you're going to not worry about cards that build alpha. But since you already have the red trinket and you're going to want to probably focus on those.
Alpha seems to be my main currently.
Yeah. It's going to be, for the early game, stacking alpha is going to be one of the strongest methods you have. Sort of the strongest strategic. You can tell it never show you again. Basically, this, when you say never show me again, it sets a flag called Dum Dum. But yeah, I would probably draw and then, oh well. Can't. So I try to avoid situations like this. This is another thing. Sid Meier talks about this a lot in his symposia. Civilization does a ton of cheating behind the scenes. The odds that it tells you are never the actual odds. So while I do random without replacement, I will try and give you a mix of attack and defense cards for each hand. I don't try very hard, but like if I detect that you're about to draw all 3 defense cards and the other characters or the enemies aren't attacking, then I will try and draw one more card to see whether it'll be an attack. So you're actually picking the best of 4, unless there's already a mix of attack and defense cards in the list.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, so Spear Spark, that's a total of 8 attack. You can kill the Slinger before it does the status effect on you, or you can kill drone number 4, because once drone number 4 is defended, it's a fly guy type, and this is another thing which I think is maybe not downloadable now, and maybe I'll put it back up on the page. But fly guy decks will they will defend first, and then once they have built up some defense, they'll try and hit you with big attacks. So since you can take out one or the other, you can choose. Slinger's going to make you blind, which means that you won't be able to detect what the enemies are doing the next turn. But drone will almost certainly attack next turn. So if you take it out now, then you can avoid its large attack, which is probably going to be about 5. Will be tough to defend without the defense cards. Yeah. Oh, so now you're in not too bad a shape anyway.
Yeah. I'm capped at 3 currently for max alpha.
Yeah, it'll always be capped at 3 forever.
Oh. Yeah, I guess that would make numbers pretty big if we're doing multiplication.
Yep, it means you can multiply up to 3, so you can get up to 9. Oh, and there you go. Easy peasy. If you spark him, he's gone. All right, so we talked about disc. Taser is a great draw. Taser is a fantastic draw.
How's the drops system like work in this? Is it each enemy has a specific like pool of cards, or is it just per battle group? Or
Yeah, so there's a custom per board counter called heap, and the heap determines the pool of cards that it draws from. So it's actually unique to board as opposed to per enemy. So the heap here is heap 0. So there's heap 0, heap 10, heap 20, heap 30, heap 40, and heap 60. There's no heap 50. Again, I don't know why I do these things, but that yeah, between heaps 0 through 40, those are the 5 main sort of bricks of cards. Those will have a unique drop table. Commons, uncommons, rares, and then there are 3 ultra rare cards in the game. One called Delta, and then there's one. I can't remember the name right now, but there's a defense card which is extremely powerful, and then there's an ultra rare card called Ghost, which you can only get by fighting a secret boss, which we'll probably get to. Ah, Squarmal. Hello, buddy. I'm not sure what voice I hear Squarmal in, but it's definitely a very frenetic voice.
they seem panicked. Let's be nice.
Squarmal of Squirtle.
Very good names.
Oh, he knows Father Broadback.
Oh, squirrels now.
No, Squirrel does not know. He just said.
It's like, wait a second.
Oh, now Zip Zap near Squirmel Acorn. Can't reach his Harship. That sucks, man. Harship is never good. You can find a Zip Zap. Easy. So one of the things I definitely wanted to do was to have a couple of really simple quests of a format that people would be familiar with. So we've got a really standard kill quest here.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Squirmel's unlocked the gallery for us, which is nice. So you press V, it'll show you all the enemies that you've encountered so far. And when you fill up a page, you can press V. I think there's a total of 6 pages here. But each page you fill up will get you a prize. It'll deliver you a prize, which is nice. There are 48 different non-boss enemies in the game. And you can encounter them. If you look at them, they'll tell you exactly what movesets you have.
Oh, this is the
And
wiki
what
here.
their possible starting HP. And of course, all the lore. So this is where the Dark Souls sort of influence comes in. It is in the gallery
Yeah, this looks like a lot of
descriptions.
fun.
So you'll, as you get into the game, if you keep coming back to the gallery, there's commentary on all the different creatures. The robot navy likes it when things explode, and the all the airborne creatures sort of came from another planet. It seems they were imported. None of them are native.
Mm.
Yeah. And we talk a little bit about carcinization as well. So in nature loves a crab and tries to create a crab. Whereas when robots design themselves, oh no. Did you press down on the
I
character
pressed
portrait?
X. My brain saw X at the bottom.
Oh,
Like, yes, that's
I
the
see.
back button.
So press X again, and then you should be able to find your portrait again. If you go to the portrait, it won't be far. It'll be to the, yeah.
Oh yeah,
There
that's
it is.
an early one.
Squirrel, home of squirrels.
I'm glad I stopped here.
So this is one group of squirrels. There's actually 4 groups of squirrels living in the tutorial area, or this little chapter 1 area. Squirrel is one. There's one called Acorn, or Econ as they write it. And then there's these fellers over here. These are the Squirrel Mafia. And we will be meeting them shortly after we take these guys out. So yeah, you can draw. If you def 3 draw, you might draw something. It'll take out most of the damage. Oh yeah, there you go. Now you can defend completely, or you can start ticking away some damage and take some damage yourself. It's up to you.
Oh, all about that attack.
Yeah, me too. I try and take at least 1 damage per fight. Just because if you don't take damage, then the game will think that you are obsessively save scumming, and
Oh.
it'll start behaving differently to compensate.
Oh no.
But it's not a hard and fast rule. It's like, I just know that if I take 1 damage during the fight, then the game will be chill with me. We'll be chill with each other. right, nice.
I should have done my draw
There we go.
first.
Oh, it's my 23-month sub anniversary.
Goodness, that's
Yay!
on the 23rd of the month?
The 23rd of the month. It's my golden subversary.
Good job. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. I'm hoping for starting like next year to start tacking some stuff up at like the top of these streams with subs and followers and that stuff that everybody loves so much.
Nice.
I'm trying to add the usual streamer stuff to some degree.
But, oh, the Mafia.
Oh, yeah, I didn't actually go in there. You've seen me stream ZZT games. That's nothing new. Squirrels of Extortion.
I forgot that I named them Squirrels of Extortion.
the little line for an object's name is just, it's a very good opportunity to be creative.
So this is Aben, Salmon, and Teal, or
Speaking of creativity.
So you could pay them now, or you can pay them later. You don't really have enough coins to do much, but each inn has an opportunity to visit the merchant. And when you get about 160 coins, 160 to 180 coins, you can buy your first big upgrade.
Let's see what this looks like. I've yet to see a merchant. Ah, like this.
Yeah. So they're a little, you might see a little shooting stars in the background if you keep an eye out. But they don't appear that often. You'll see them every once in a while. Yeah. So the other thing about the merchant, go ahead and go in the merchant. You'll see something that appears in the top right. H for help.
Is this gonna... Oh.
It's gonna tell you some stuff.
Card removal service. And yeah, I saw the times begged at the merchants, so that's why I really wanted to see what this was looking like.
Yeah, feel free to beg him for some coins. You just hold the button down and whack him a few times, usually 40 to 50 times. So you just have to hold the button and let it go to town. Then he'll eventually allow you to borrow some money from him. And you can use him as a kind of bank, because he'll loan you a certain amount of money, but then you'll have to pay him back before he'll loan you any more. And if you die, then you still have to pay him back. So you can sort of use him as a little bit of a bank. You can start by getting an advance if you whack him here. Yeah, you just gotta. There he goes.
All right. Well, if I go into debt, I can buy another red trinket, and that's kind of what this deck is doing right now.
Yep. So if you look at red trinkets, their effect does not stack, and it'll tell you that in the description. Oh, there was a little shooting star.
Well, that's what I get for.
So, but you can buy a cyan trinket as well, and that will give you alpha. And then if you beg him for another 50 coins, you can buy a blue trinket, which will get you defense for every turn. And that is definitely worth doing early on.
Oh, these are mix and match here.
So,
okay.
Yeah, so absolutely that's worth doing. So you could do cyan trinket, green trinket, and blue trinket, and all you need to do is beg him for another 50 coins.
he doesn't like me anymore. Oh, there he goes. Is that supposed to be payback?
Yeah, you can. Oh, that is supposed to be payback.
Oh no. Well,
there's a typo, and that is the first one I've seen in a while. So that's fun. I'll patch it out.
that's because nobody's thinking to beg at the very first merchant.
Well, the merchant's the same. He's the same
Ah.
universally. So. And you can grab a green trinket as well. You might as well. They're useful to have around. So as long as you have at least one coin, you essentially have an extra life. If you lose all your health, you can pay all the coins in your inventory for 10 more health. So you want to have, when you leave the merchant, you want to have the least number of coins possible. Because you still get the extra life, and you don't you don't have wasted coins that way.
Let's see what these trinkets let me do here.
So, starting on your next turn, you're going to start generating defense for each beta you have.
Let's go. Let's try being very defensive here.
Well, so defense resets every turn, which means that you're going to lose those 3, but you will.
Okay.
So yeah, you'll start out. You basically start out with some free attacks. Oh, taser! Great draw. Be safe as houses.
Wait, what I missed there? That seems to have just vanished on me.
You got 7 defense now instead of 1.
Oh, I was sorry. I had a brain fart and was looking at that as attack, not defense. Okay.
Very nice. One thing you'll notice, people who've played the game before will see that Spark has changed. Spark was 1 times alpha, and now it's 2 times alpha. I took all of the early game attack cards and gave them a little bit of a spiff up, so that these early fights wouldn't take quite as long. The other side of that is that the enemies will hit you a little bit harder. So that was one of the things that happened as part of this balance pack, this 130 pack.
Okay, I'm learning how all these things work.
Yep. Down he goes. Yeah. Congrats to the green herring for the sort of melting effect. The one that I made was really clunky.
It looks real. I was very surprised that. I mean, I shouldn't be at this point with some Weave stuff like that, but I was still quite surprised the first time I saw that. That's just something that to me is just, this is just my static piece of art for a ZZT engine. It doesn't move. Maybe the eyes animate or something, but we'll save.
Yeah, that was how things were originally. Everything was static to start. And then it became apparent that that wasn't enough. People were really struggling to understand what was going on, the action.
Yeah.
And so those little flourishes, one of the things that I did is I went to some of the other contemporaries in the genre. So Slay the Spire, for example. If you go into Slay the Spire and just kind of like monkey pound it and randomly click and press buttons, it starts flashing and uses lens flares and darkens part of the screen, brightens other part. It does everything in its power to get you to start making the right choices. It's really a sort of masterclass in usability. And something that ZZTers don't generally think about when they think about game design is, how can you create an emergent tutorial that only comes out if it's clear that somebody needs help?
Even more basic than that, I think. Excuse me. A lot of times, just playing unpreserved stuff, the amount of times where I touch an object and it disappears, and I'm like, "What did that do? Did that give me ammo? I wasn't paying attention to my ammo count. Did that go up? I don't know." Like, just having any kind of feedback just helps immensely.
Gate asks, first we're here to rob Chimunk. We might as well.
Oh, well.
But Gate asked what modern digital card games I tried. So when I was developing this, I tried Slay the Spire, Ring of Pain, Monster Train. I think there's one that was either called Last Evil. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, I tried a number of the sort of pinnacle genre examples to see whether the innovations that they'd brought to the fore were something that I could translate into a ZZT context.
I have yet to play any of those. I am bad at playing games.
Oh, Inscription, definitely. So Daniel Mullins is one of the frequenters of a sort of little indie dev chat, like a sort of ivory tower elites place that I'm still weirdly invited to, even though I haven't been in the games industry for a number of years. So I did get to see that go from its sort of early stages all the way through to being I don't know what he's made, like $25 million or whatever he's made off of Inscription. It's ridiculous.
All right, I'm gonna rob this guy.
Yeah, Robin.
Oh.
Okay. We will lie to him though. We'll tell him we're a bounty hunter. So he does a little bit of world building here. You can pretty much talk to him until he allows you to lie to him and say you're a bounty hunter. But he'll say some things like all the robots have a quick flint stud in their noggin. So your cards, quote unquote cards, are actually these little quick flint crystals that have had stuff etched on them. They're sort of gems that have had things written on them. And that comes from, and I use this multiple times in the game, the idea of the emerald tablet, that there's this wisdom in the universe that was so simple that it could be written on the surface of an emerald. Feel free to bargain him up. He'll pay. He's rich. All right, let's see what he wants first. He always wants one of 3 cards first: Shell, Surge, or Deck, or a Disc. And those are the 3 weakest cards in the game. So he acts as a way to dump bad cards if you happen to pick them up in your deck.
That's convenient.
And he basically only ever asks. Oh, so if you hit C here, you can start seeing some of the cards that you've already seen. So this is 1 page of 4, and then you can, you'll have cards from all 4 of these pages, I'm sure. Yep.
Trinkets.
So anytime you pick up trinkets as part of rewards, then they're also going to show up here.
Oh, well, I was about to say, hey, can I touch any of this stuff?
You sure can. You won't make any friends. It's all right. Chimunk means well, I think. So this is an interesting one. I didn't expect people to double back and like fight every enemy individually, but I was remarkably like I'm surprised that a huge section, maybe 33% of the testers, fought every single enemy in the game and pulled them one at a time often.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean,
So
at this point, I still feel like I'm like things are clicking, but there's still like little things that like I don't realize until afterwards. Like I wasn't paying attention to defense being reset and stuff. So these are the battles to make mistakes in.
for sure. And and then even the people who didn't fight every single fight, so Lancer was very, very kind and played through the entire game uh, on video and sent me individual videos at the end of each chapter. Um, and probably spent 6.5, 7 hours really going through in meticulous detail and touching everything and um, fighting very nearly every fight. Oh, this is about to go poorly.
Yeah.
Ouch. Well, luckily you have some coins you can spend. Now, there is no upside to respawning in Stone Hollow Grove, so you can just tell it to always pay. Because when you go to Stone Hollow Grove, you're going to lose your coins anyway. And your trinkets and your deck. But you won't die and other good stuff will happen. But you can certainly wait to see what that stuff is for when you have a legitimate death. So feel free to just set it to always pay because there's never a reason not to pay. All right,
Oh, this is
well,
just
now you
picking up
can.
right where we left off.
Yep, just lay the smack down now. And down she goes.
Oh, there's Shell.
Excellent. Perf.
See, that's why I go around fighting everything I see. There we go. That was profit.
And you have a cloud in your deck, but you can probably wait to sell it when you have better cards. Oh, you do already. You've got Taser. So feel free to sell Cloud. Because Cloud is just a much worse Taser.
Does it enforce a minimum deck size?
Oh, not a minimum. You can actually go all the way down to 0, and then it's a very interesting fight. Originally, because I was terrified of sort of soft locking and I hadn't really put a lot of protection in place. It was before I started defensively coding for a bunch of situations that I didn't think could happen, but inevitably end up happening. I made it so that if you tried to draw a card and you had no more cards in your deck to draw, it would create a card, like a negative card, called Error. But that didn't end up being a necessary component. So no, it doesn't enforce any minimums, and it does enforce a maximum of 28. So once you fill up, then that's it. So that Aegis, again, you have scans, so you can probably sell that Aegis.
That's where I'm gonna find out that there's no minimum here.
Oh, nice. That's a nice thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
anywhere between the first 3 and 5 sales, you'll get this Silver Moon. That's a rare card.
Now that I'm using.
Yeah, that you
I do
definitely
not have
using.
my spark yet. So what I get here? Moon. Info. Mm. That's a lot of defense, actually.
Yep. Yeah, Moon you can carry with you almost all the way through the game. There will be cards that will sort of outclass it in maybe chapters 3 and 4. But it's a nice early find.
Okay, we are at the point now where I'm like thinking about which cards to play in which order. Now I'm not at the point where I think correctly yet.
Yeah. So one of the things that Inscription does is it counts your quote-unquote misplays, and at the end of each game, it'll tell you how many misplays you made. At least certain gameplay modes will do that. It made the internet insane because they're like, "But I played perfectly." It really is just a random number.
This is very good.
It's so good. Yeah, so Moon does the whole trick for you, which is great. Then you can tick away 1 damage from either Drone 4 or Droid or Droid.
I don't know what it is that I constantly want to treat defense as attack. I'm like, ah, yes, I will attack the drone with this for 6. It's not what that says whatsoever.
Yeah. It's one of those where eventually it sort of fades into the background. There's a paper rock scissors going on, which is if you see red above the enemy, you play a cyan card. If you see blue above the enemy, then you play a green card. And almost always, even if you're not reading the contents of the cards, that will win you the battle.
Hmm. Hmm.
Interesting.
Oh. That seems solid, honestly. I'm not heading here, though. Oh.
So you get another chance to. So blue, while it doesn't stack, the active ability is really nice to have. So the fact that it's cheap, and you can sort of pick one up every time you visit the merchant is really good.
Mm.
Also, this is your first chance to use card removal and try and clean up your deck. So you can potentially, you can potentially check out your card removal service.
Yeah, what's this look like?
You definitely have a card you want to remove. So in this case, because you have a red trinket already, Spear and Aegis are both. You have red and cyan trinket, so Spear and Aegis are both sort of dead weight in the deck.
Mm.
So you can choose. I would drop Aegis in this case because you have Merge, Scan, Taser, and Moon, which are fantastic defense cards. All of them are great.
I think wasn't. Oh, actually, I get stuck in here, but I think our squirrel friend was actually asking for Aegis, and I just like stopped because I'm like, well, I don't have a million cards yet.
No, your squirrel friend is currently asking for Spark, which you do.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did get.
All right, sweet.
I just want to see. I don't think I've looked at like half these descriptions actually. One more card.
So yeah, yellow trinket. There's one laying on the ground on the far, far west side of the map.
See why that
And
one
that,
is so expensive.
yep, you'll need to buy one, and then you'll need to pick one up off the ground, and then you'll have your 2 yellow trinkets.
Are these prices randomized or is it based on what you have?
These prices are slightly randomized around some basic numbers, and then each time you buy them, they will increase by a small amount. So you definitely want to have more green trinkets, and at least probably the blue trinket, though that's really up to you. But definitely don't ever pass up an opportunity to buy a green trinket, because you will want to keep your deck tight and clean. And having green trinkets is the only way to really do that for most of the game. Yeah, that extra 5 defense can definitely be a lifesaver. And he's not going to loan you any more money. You've tapped him out for now. So here in between these trees, there's a little squirrel named Axlor. There he is. Axlor, while he seems hopeless and helpless, is actually pretty shady.
False Village.
Yeah. So he's explaining everybody from this village everyone from Tinjaw got stuck in a false village, and then they were taken somewhere unknown. You can ask him to come with you, and he'll throw some shade your way, which is kind of fun.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Axel.
Just south of him is Axlor's uncle, who actually is sitting in this tree here. Oh, so this flashing thing, that's when you see a flashing thing, that is a quest enemy. So that is the titular zip, or the aforementioned zip zap.
Ah, okay. Well, let's see if I've learned anything.
Commando, something that you'll see in the gallery, it says, while nature is always trying to make a crab, robots that design themselves are always trying to make this kind of shape. Something on treads with like 2 guns on either side, and a sort of some kind of sensor sticking up at the top.
It looks like it's a hit looking at the chat.
Yeah, you might as well. Okay, so you're not in too bad a shape. You can already start building up some early alpha. You can get rid of this guy. You can start ticking down Commando's health. Commando will essentially bide its time until its main weapon charges up, and then it's going to hit you with huge attacks over and over and over again until either you or it dies.
I had a feeling there were going to be big attacks here.
That's Commando's way. Now, the other elite enemy from Chapter 1 is called Myrmidon. And Myrmidon is north of you. And, well, generates the enemies randomly. But if a Myrmidon has spawned, then it's north of you. And it will, north and west, and it will put bad cards in your deck permanently.
Oh, well, that's rude.
That is exactly, it is very rude. So those are the 2 main approaches. and you'll see that the game will. Well, I guess there's a third approach which will appear at the end of chapter 2 or midway through chapter 2. But elite enemies essentially have 3 main approaches. One is, here he goes. He's going to go into zip zap mode, but we're going to take him out before he has a chance to do that. One's hit with big attacks and essentially act as a DPS race where it's either you or him. Ooh, that's a very nice card. Macro is a wonderful find.
That seems pretty solid, yeah.
And then there are elite enemies which will insert cards into your deck, and then there are elite enemies which will manipulate what you can do, either by weakening or blinding or by reducing your deck size, your hand size to 1.
Thanks.
Here he is. Brother Albert.
Welcome to my tree.
He says you're not ready to contemplate his ruby.
I hate when people say that to me.
I know. Well, the ruby has the 4 maxims of success written on it. So I like how he's like, I've been contemplating this ruby my whole life. You know, all this wisdom is contained there, and if I could just understand it. And then you're going to go over to it, and it's like live, laugh, love.
Show me the ruby.
There it is.
Let's ponder. Every leg of your journey will teach a lesson. At the end of your journey will come a trial.
So essentially, each of the 4 chapters of the game has a deck type which will succeed very well, and that deck type will decimate the boss.
Every one of
You're
your
going to need to
lessons.
beat all 4 bosses.
Don't be afraid to die.
Yep. And then the 4th facet.
Memories do not die. They are thrown to the seas. Find them again among the sands.
So all of your U2 and rarer cards. So all the uncommon cards that are U2 uncommon, so that's the higher grade of uncommon, and all the rare cards will generate memories, which you'll find when you die. Memories will start collecting along the south side of the board, and you'll be able to observe them. Those memories then show up in the real world in a memory shop along the beach. The memory shop allows you to rebuy your best cards from previous runs.
Wow.
So like your moon card is a really good card. If you die, you do have to give up your deck, but you can go buy back all your rare cards, and they're fairly cheap.
That's pretty cool. It's a lot of boys.
Yep. So the game has basically decided that you're through the tutorial area, and it will be more likely to throw you 3 enemies at a time now. I think there's like a 3 in 8 chance that it throws you 3 enemies.
Yeah, that drone's almost got as much health as the commando did.
Yep.
Quite a bit of defense here now.
So you can go ahead and draw.
Yeah, this is gonna...
But there's not really much you can do because you don't have anything that attacks for higher than 6. So he's just kind of got you over a barrel here. Luckily, no character in the no enemy in the game can attack and defend at the same time. So if it's attacking, its defense will be gone unless it's one of the creatures whose defense is its health, which is something that happens. But for the most part, yeah, if it's attacking, it can't defend. If it's defending, it can't attack, which helps you sort of plan and strategize. It's a convenience. And that's the convention of the genre that has pretty broad acceptance. So I thought, there definitely was a sort of crossroads or very early on in the design where I decided that that was a convention that I was perfectly comfortable also adopting. Yep. So this is the first time we've seen Crash. But Crash is now buffed. Crash was attack 3, it's attack 4. It's one of the changes that happened as the balance patch came through. So I briefly had it as 5 and then discovered that skewed thing is because Crash is also a starting card in another starter deck called Brutal.
Yeah.
And Brutal was already the most powerful starting deck, so that was a bit much. I'm curious if you tap V. Scan. Interesting. So Acorn here, they have their own little mini hut where they'll heal you, but they'll mess with your bracer. And they'll accidentally break one of your cards.
Oh.
And the card that they'll break is the first card on the list in your deck list, whatever that happens to be. So in this case, you would lose Scan, but they have a card that might be better, might be worse, that they will replace it with and pretend they'll be like, yeah, but we gave you a new card instead, so you're welcome. So you got a choice here. I think it's probably worth it because more cards are better than Scan than worse that they have. So here's Zara and Lauren, I think is her name. Yeah.
Root squirrels.
A tree of safety. Safety for whom?
Alright, I'll give it a shot.
So you can gently refuse first so you can see what she says.
They do have a personality.
They drive a hard bargain. But now you have access to their rest hut.
That's mean. What happened here? What do we get?
Model. Okay, well that's not terrible. It's sort of a it's a water tread. So it draws a card and it flows, which means that you essentially get it for free.
Yeah.
So if you don't have max beta, then essentially gives you free beta.
That's something. That ain't bad.
Yeah, and so if you happen to draw a taser after that, then you're already up. Yeah, until you have until you have a yellow trinket, disc is dead weight, just about, because essentially it allows you to draw 2 cards, but then you can only play 1 card after that.
Yeah. You.
Yep. Knock them out. And then there's no point in defending because
Yeah.
I'm gonna reset anyway. And you already have 1 defense. But this is, an opportunity for you to model up draw flow. It's just free card. Oh, okay. Better than a sharp stick in the eye. So let's see, 14 total health. Comes 8. Yeah. I'm hoping that we can. I'm hoping that as we encounter more elite enemies, we might get some stronger attack drops. Because generally enemies will defend to up to 6, so anything you get above 6 on attack is usually guaranteed damage. But if you head south here, there's a scroll in the middle of town. Just avoid that scroll for now.
Okay.
Ignore the scroll. It's gonna flash at you. It's gonna seem very enticing. Just ignore it for now and look at the other stuff.
All right. So I think, how about we check out this place? I think this seems like it'll be a good cliffhanger, and we've been going for a good 2 hours here, and I think we can call it an evening then.
Sounds good.
There's a lot of flashing scrolls here. Robot limbs. That's a haiku, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So this is a white trinket. This is the first time you've encountered one. They're pretty good. They're an extra life.
This effect stacks up to 98 times. Okay. Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and they're expensive too. They're about 550 coins at the merchant. Right. So the locations of the 4 bosses.
Gorathy.
Yeah, so the 4 bosses are called Steelman, Aircrow, Sea Lion, and Zaws. And then there's a 5th boss, Gorathy.
I was gonna describe you in the stream announcement as the wizard behind Zaws.
It turns out Zaws is its own wizard. On the top of the pyramid through the darkness. And this is how you run from battles. So this is the first bracer mod. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bracer mods in this game. This is the first one. You should install it because it basically is free. Yeah, you'll definitely want to go in there and read that 3rd section because running from battle is very much gonna be something you want to do.
This is what happens at the 2-hour mark. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I dig. That's why I got my lemon water here, so we can round it out. And yeah, so you found your first other radio tower, which is nice.
You're gonna hear
Since,
some.
but we know what we're gonna hear. We know what radio waves are.
Yep.
We know how they work. They go everywhere. So yeah, this false village here has a few things. So we can touch that scroll maybe as part of the next stream. But as you go through the game, different things will show up here. And it's one of the only places where a very rare enemy appears.
Uh-oh.
So if you're wanting to be a completionist, anybody who's playing this game who's trying to get all 48 enemies, if you've missed one, chances are you just need to come back to this screen.
Right.
Because it's a guaranteed spawn of a very rare enemy. All right. Well, this is a great start. We are most of the way through chapter 1. There's just Tin Jaw to do next.
Yeah, this has been fun. I kind of didn't realize I went for 2 hours without like looking, not being consciously aware that time was approaching. There's a lot to this, but it also feels pretty manageable, honestly.
I hope so. I've tried not to. I tried to be very cogent, or cognizant of the different frustrations people had when they were testing it and trying to make it a pretty smooth experience.
I think my big thing right now is I do not remember what like any of these trinkets are doing other than one of them is boosting my alpha. But I've got
They're
quite a few
mostly
at this
useful
point.
for their they're mostly useful for their active abilities. And they're sort of a save your ass kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
once you get to a situation where enemies are really like whacking you, um, then you'll then the trinkets will come more into play. But as long as your deck is strong enough to handle the enemies that the game's throwing at you, you mostly don't need to pay attention to the trinkets and what they're doing.
All right. Well, thank you for guiding me through this a bit. I do think it's probably gone a little faster than if I was going in blind. You've saved me
Maybe.
from many a beginner mistake already, I'm sure.
Pretty standard. But yeah, I think even if you don't do like all the things, the game does a pretty good job of just kind of making the best. So anybody who plays through that doesn't optimize their deck or doesn't catch all the little secrets, doesn't pick up all the trinkets, should still have a pretty good experience.
I'm gonna drop a link here in chat. This is where to get the latest Zaws, but if you hold out, well, there'll be a new version that fixes a single typo. So do be ready for that. I'm gonna be sitting up straight and stretching and drinking a gallon of water and all that stuff momentarily. Thank you for joining me, Will. Thank you for making this. This is just a really cool looking game, honestly.
Well, I probably will be around if we end up doing future ZOZ streams. I'm happy to guest star anytime.
I think I would be down for that. We will get back to that. I think I will take a break next week because that's the end of the year. Oh yeah, actually I should probably say all that spiel stuff. We will not be streaming on Christmas, which probably isn't a huge surprise to anybody here. I will not be streaming the next Sunday because that's New Year's Day either. But we will do something for next Friday and continue more stuff on more Fridays. That is going to do it tonight. Everybody, well, if you got anything you want to plug, anything else you want to say, and then I'll cut to my credits, and because that's going to start playing music, and I'll just cover up your voice. So I'll kick you out then.
Sounds good. No, yeah, feel free to check us out. Go to meangirls.itch.io and you can see a whole bunch of our games. And thank you for streaming. Thanks for the many years and months of lovely content, as always.
Alright. And I will talk to you later.
Alrighty.
See ya.
Yep.
Alright, as for everybody else, let's load this sucker up. Well, as I said, we will be back again next Friday, only 1 week from now. I'm also behind on posting some of these streams to YouTube by mistake, but since there's no stream on Sunday, that'll make that easy to catch up on at least. Well, thank you all for sticking around, and yes, we got the full gallery. There are a lot of really impressive ASCII sprite work on display here. It is far more than I think anybody would have expected when they first load up the game and start scrolling through their options at just how long it takes before you get back to the beginning. Other than that, I think that's about it. We've got nothing much. I gotta kill time because I was saying goodbye while Will was on here and I didn't have the credits up. But enjoy your holiday weekends and your New Year's Eves and all that stuff. Hope to see you all in future streams and hopefully, maybe even no, not next week, but hopefully soon enough we'll start getting some text on the top of these streams mentioning bits and followers and subscribers. I gotta do that community engagement stuff a bit more. That's gonna be my goal for next year. Alright, thank you all for watching. Hope you all had fun. This is definitely a game worth checking out for yourself, and it seems like there's plenty to do, so even if you're following along with this, I'm sure you can get into your own kind of trouble. Thank you all for watching, and hope to see you next time. Later.